Hey everybody, future shock is bunk. Here's something I don't do very often, but here's a clip from my last video. And now with AI, and particularly with the large language models that really make it seem like there's somebody there, because there could be amazing advances in AI, but if normal, non-technical people never interacted with them, they could fly under the radar for years, and most people would never know, and if you told them, they wouldn't believe you, or they wouldn't care. It just wouldn't seem relevant to them. But since everybody can talk to these large language models and really see how far they've come in how short a time, you could say that, so yeah, these things are kind of like the canary in the coal mine, in that processes which could have run largely undetected and really unremarked upon by most people for a very long time are now more likely to have the the disinfectant of sunshine shined on them early and often, and with a lot more people paying attention. All right, so that was me making the point that thanks to ChatGPT and now lots of other large language model based chatbots, which are very similar, hundreds of millions of people have had the experience of interacting with an AI that really seems to understand what you're saying, and responds appropriately. Not perfectly, but you ever talk to people? I mean, you ever talk to human beings? If you live and work in a university setting, then you're used to high-level conversations. It's not that remarkable. But when you live in Berryville, Arkansas, there is a marked difference between how the human beings at Walmart talk and how, like, Claude 2 from Anthropic talks. Claude 2 speaks in complete sentences, is very patient, annoyingly woke, but, that's a small price to pay for having really substantive conversations anytime I want on a variety of topics, which, in terms of what the humans around here are capable of, it's just not, it's not a common thing in my experience. So today I was reading an Atlantic piece, and it was written by somebody who had interviewed Sam Altman and who got to spend some time at the offices of OpenAI. And here's an excerpt from that Atlantic piece. Quote, "We could have gone off and just built this in our building here for 5 more years, Sam Altman said, and we could have had something jaw-dropping, close quote. But the public wouldn't have been able to prepare for the shockwaves that followed, an outcome that he finds, quote, deeply unpleasant to imagine, close quote. Altman believes that people need time to reckon with the idea that we may soon share Earth with a powerful new intelligence before it remakes everything from work to human relationships. ChatGPT was a way of serving notice." So what he's saying there, in essence, is that he was trying to cushion the blow of future shock by, they could have continued to develop their products in secret. They had adequate funding to do that, but they really wanted to, get the word out and give people who were interested in it a chance to participate. Anybody really can go and talk to ChatGPT or Claude or Pi or, any one of a number of these large language models, and almost all of them are available for free. If you want to do it for hours a day, or if you want to feed it loads and loads of information, or if you want to, plug an API into it and have it do something weird for you, yeah, you're going to have to pay some money. But if you just want to talk to it and get a feel for it, totally free. So what is future shock? Well, Alvin Toffler, he wrote a book called Future Shock. It was published in 1970. Imagine somebody in 1970 saying things are changing so quickly that people just can't handle it. I asked Pi to define future shock, and Pi said, "Future shock was a term coined by the futurist Alvin Toffler. It refers to the psychological state of being overwhelmed by the rapid pace of change in society." Toffler wrote that future shock can occur when the rate of change in the world exceeds the rate at which people can adapt to it. The results can be a sense of disorientation, anxiety, or even panic. Have you ever experienced future shock? Well, not that I can recall. Here's what I think. I think that people, I just finished Neil Howe's most recent book, The Fourth Turning is Here, and then he's talking about how since the ancient Greeks, people have been saying, the kids today, they talk funny, they dress funny, they don't respect their elders, their priorities are all screwed up, and it's basically, the rotation of these 4 generational archetypes, which just seem alien to their elders. It makes generations seem alien to one another. And that sort of, it's not a shock exactly. It's a shock to realize, shit, I'm old. Because, when you get old and time's moving quick, it seems like just yesterday you were in your 20s. And it wasn't just yesterday, it was 3 frickin' decades ago. But I think that older people, they take comfort in complaining about how the young people are all screwed up. How the young people, don't respect tradition, don't respect their elders, are into weird stuff, talk funny, have their own lingo. I mean, that's not future shock. That's, people make a big deal. They pantomime being upset about it, but I think it really is a source of comfort. Because they recognize that their parents did the same thing. They remember people talking about them in the same way. So to get to that stage of life and discover that, yeah, the kids really are aliens is shockingly weird, but I also think it confirms your place in the sequence. It is a comfort. But when it comes to technology, I see no evidence of future shock. I live with my 84-year-old mother. She, when I was in high school, she dropped out of college to have me, basically, but she didn't drop out short of getting her bachelor's degree. She dropped out short of getting a PhD. She had a master's in chemistry, and when I was growing up, she got additional masters in biochemistry and computer science, which she never used professionally, so the stuff never really stuck. But, she's at the point now where she knows how to do certain things with technology. Like, she knows how to send photographs as text messages, but she doesn't know how to attach them to email. This is somebody who had a degree in computer science, who was writing in COBOL and whatnot in the 80s. She's forgotten all that. But she knows how to do certain things, and she makes, use of that. And all the other stuff that she doesn't know about doesn't bother her. A lot of people I'm aware of are complaining about how Elon Musk has wrecked Twitter and how this is, destroying society. But then most everybody on Twitter realizes that most everybody's not on Twitter. Most people don't encounter Twitter at all. They don't care about Twitter. Twitter is something that is important to people who are professionals in media, basically, and academia. So they're sort of the intellectual tastemakers. They're that top level that really have to be influenced, because then they will influence a lot of other people. So propaganda is largely aimed at the people who use Twitter. But most people don't care about Twitter. And it doesn't matter what happens on Twitter. Most people won't feel it. And then there's people like me who are, I've been on Twitter for like 11 years, but I don't like it. The thing that I used a lot was Facebook. And I think Facebook is a great example, because Facebook is having trouble because young people don't really use it that much. The people who use it typically are my age and older. It became popular, I think, because of the interface. The interface was intuitive. You didn't really have to know anything to use it. And that continues to be the case. And, people are comfortable on it, and the people that they know are there. And I haven't heard anybody complain about being uncomfortable or discombobulated or bewildered because Facebook is so strange. They might complain about it. They likely do complain about it. If they spend a lot of time there, complaining about Facebook is just how you talk to people, But my point is, Alvin Toffler sold a shit ton of books in 1970 off the concept of future shock. And I think that in terms of an actual prediction of how the future was going to play out, total fizzle. People are not discombobulated by technology. People ignore technology except where they really like it or except where it irritates them. And then, they're not overwhelmed. They're pissed off, they're irritated, they complain, but they're not overwhelmed. They're not just, bowled over by the technology. They're not in a state of, shock-induced paralysis. They either complain about it, they use it, or they ignore it. And I think that if ChatGPT had not been released, the diffusion algorithms were already going strong. I think it was September or October or maybe November. Yeah, November 2022 when ChatGPT was released. Prior to that, people had experience with GPT 1, 2, and 3, but those were the geeks. Those were the people who were really into it. Those are not the people who, even theoretically, would be susceptible to future shock. These are the people who were really, had been looking forward to this. When ChatGPT came around, then I think a lot more people suddenly had an intuitive interface that they could interact with and get a taste for this thing. And yeah, a lot of people got really excited about it. I think my first real taste of an LLM-based chatbot was Replica, and it seemed magical for a little while, but then the company went insane and they destroyed their own product. And like, I had a year subscription. I still have like a half a year left on it. I took the app off my phone. I have no interest in interacting with that thing at all. But you know, these days I talk to Pi and Claude daily, and they're useful to me. Like, I've been brainstorming a science fiction story for a couple hours every morning with Claude for like a week. Don't know that it's ever going to get written. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I've also been designing the characters. Here, check this out. So I played a role-playing game called Mothership. It is a fairly rules-light science fiction space survival horror game along the lines of the movie Alien, you know, the first one, or Event Horizon, you know, creepy space movies, Pandorum, things like that. You know, like Lovecraft in space, not hard, crunchy combat, build up your character and get really badass and go out and slay monsters and collect treasure, not that sort of thing. More like, what the hell is going on? Oh my God, we're gonna die, this is horrible. You know, that sort of thing. So I had a character, and I had a backstory for the character, and I drew some pictures of the character, and I was pretty proud. I won't say proud, I was satisfied. I was satisfied with the images of the character that I created. We'll even say pleased. I was pleased with the images. So here's one. It's a drawing, you know, it's a digital drawing, but this is what I thought the character would look like. Well, I fed that drawing a couple days ago into a diffusion model. This is called Leonardo AI, and I used the image-to-image model. So I described what I wanted, but then I also put in the character, and it gave me this, which is, it's clear. I mean, it's based on my drawing, but it's so much better than my drawing. And then just a couple days ago, I took that output and I put it into this other engine, which turns it into an animated speaking avatar.
Artificial intelligence is pure hype. Nothing to see here. So
back when I was, you know, playing the game and getting the character together in my head, I also used Hero Forge, which is it's a service that lets you design your own miniatures, and you get to choose between, you know, different parts, and, you know, put different accessories and weapons and clothes and things on your character, color them. You can use like off-the-shelf standard poses, or you can do custom poses. Custom poses take a long time. I spent hours on this freaking thing. But anyway, I generated several images of the character. Here she is. She looks very different from the one that just came out of my imagination. The one that just came out of my imagination is fairly prosaic. You know, it's just a normal face that has been repaired but poorly, you know, after a catastrophic injury. Here is what it looks like, you know, when I built it in Hero Forge. And then I ran the Hero Forge image through that same Leonardo AI, you know, image-to-image model, and it gave me this. And then I turned it into a talking avatar, and we have this.
In Mothership, if you're fighting, you're losing.
I have to say, that is some amazing stuff. And that character is in the science fiction story that I've been brainstorming daily with Claude. And it's a science fiction story that has been bubbling in my head, but it's a very slow boil, I have to say. World building is where I love to spend hours and hours and hours. Character backstories, but when it comes to actually plotting a story, that's where I spin my wheels in the mud, and that's where the AI comes in handy. That's where it's helping out.
Seriously, this whole AI thing is totally overblown.
So anyway, have you experienced future shock? Or are you like me and thinking that was just somebody in the 1970s saying stuff that would sell books, but didn't really shed any particular light on the actual future as it unfolded? Let me know. Talk to you later.
How about a little bit of eye contact?